Hello, welcome to World of Microbes. In today's video, we are going to talk about history of disease diagnosis and diagnostic microbiology, recognition of the relationship between microorganisms and disease, and the important figures and milestones in diagnostic microbiology. With the help of this video, we can get an idea of how our current diagnostic microbiology developed by looking at a few historic milestones in microbiology that have changed our lives. The science of microbiology dates back only 200 years, yet the recent discovery of Mycobacterium tuberculosis DNA in 3,000-year-old Egyptian mummies reminds us that microorganisms have been around for much longer. In fact, bacterial ancestors were the first living cells to appear on Earth. Although we know relatively little about the causes, transmission, and treatment of disease, we know more about the history of the past few hundred years. Let's look now at some key developments in diagnostic microbiology that have spurred the field to its current technological. Microbiology or diagnostic microbiology may be defined in terms of the size of the organisms studied, the techniques employed. Here are some milestones in the history of microbiology. Antony van Leeuwenhoek was the first person to describe microorganisms. Experiments by Reddy and colleagues disproved the theory of spontaneity in regard to larger organisms. The spontaneous generation of microorganisms was disproved by Spallanzani, Pasteur, Tyndall, and others. Support for the germ theory of disease came from the work of Barcy, Pasteur, Koch, and others. Lister provided indirect evidence with his development of antiseptic surgery, and molecular Koch's postulates are used to prove a direct relationship between a suspected pathogen and a disease. Koch developed the techniques required to grow bacteria on solid media and to isolate pure cultures of pathogens. Vaccines against anthrax and rabies were made by Pasteur. Von Behring and Kitasato prepared antitoria and tetanus. Mechnikov discovered some blood leukocytes could phagocytize and destroy bacterial pathogens. Pasteur showed that fermentations were caused by microorganisms and that some microorganisms could live in the absence of oxygen. There are detailed videos about history of microbiology in this channel if you want detailed history of microbiology. Links. First direct role between microorganism and disease came from a German scientist, Robert Koch, who used liquid and solid surfaces for direct growth of microorganism, which gives the separate colonies of bacteria. He used gelatin-based media, but it liquefies when temperature rises from 28 degrees Celsius. Another improvisation came by one of Koch's assistant who used agar for solidifying nutrient media. One of Koch's assistant, Richard Petrie, developed the Petri dishes for growing bacteria on solid surfaces. The work of disease resistance in some animal was studied by Pasteur and Roux, and the field of immunology arose, in which various kinds of host resistance mechanisms were discovered. They discovered the role of different kind of blood cells in these processes, e.g., tetanus and diphtheria. Antitoxins were prepared by injecting the attenuator rabbits. The antitoxins which were produced in the blood of rabbits were used as antitoxins for the treatment of diphtheria and tetanus. Immunology is concerned with how the immune system protects the body from pathogens and the response of infectious agents. It is one of the fastest growing areas in science. For example, techniques for the monoclonal antibodies have developed extremely rapidly. Immunology also deals with practical health problems such as the nature and treatment of allergies and autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. Diagnostic microbiology has been a major contributor to the rise of molecular biology, the branch of biology dealing with the physical and chemical aspects of living matter and its function. Microbiologists have been deeply involved in studies on the genetic code and the mechanisms of DNA, RNA, and protein synthesis. In many of the early studies on the regulation of gene expression and the control of enzyme activity. In the 1970s, new discoveries in microbiology led to the development of recombinant DNA technology and genetic. We will discuss about the important figures and milestone in diagnostic microbiology in our next video. Please to like and subscribe our channel.